pretty seriously injured. And so, as you can see in our demo, you actually start off in bed, and you're messed up, like you can't walk anymore. And so she discovers that she can kind of send forth her thoughts and take over these giant stone golems called, or stone creatures called golems, and use those to explore the world.
So we're seeing a little bit of this footage right now. What are we seeing?
Yeah, so this is actually right after the accident that where you get injured, and your father, whose name is Scratch, is in the room and is kind of explaining to you, how he found you and what happened. You've been unconscious for a while.
So, this is a game. It kind of sounds like it's set almost in two different worlds in a way.
Yeah.
It's set in sort of the real world, with you as the girl, and then it's also set in this world of being a golem.
Yeah.
We actually said she's a girl.
Well, it's. We try not to.
Gender
not
child.
specific.
The sister,
Yeah.
your older sisters.
Okay, sure, got it.
You could be whatever.
I always
Got it.
think of Twine as a girl, but in reality, in VR, that's you, right?
Yeah.
So we don't do anything that's kind of break that suspense.
Yeah, it's like that empty vessel approach, the Gordon Freeman approach. The kind of like just don't go there and
Yeah.
kind of just dump yourself into the vessel. Right.
Well,
Seems like a
Jamie,
good
something
idea.
I love, like we were talking about before we came out here, is, especially in VR, but so much video games, we use video games to explore other worlds and try out other characters and try out other, environments. And so it seems really natural inspiration to take that and put it into a VR world.
Yeah, when we first started on Golem, it was right at the very beginning of when VR was coming about, and what we really loved about VR was how it just immersed you in this other place. And we started to play around with how can we allow the character in the game to experience the exact same thing that the player is experiencing. So in the game, she actually puts a scarf over her eyes, and that's just like the player putting on the headset.
And it's blue.
And it's
Oh,
blue.
very nice.
Perfect.
And she has kind of a crystal encrusted rock that she looks into to control the golem, just like the Move controller that we use.
You're just building that brand right into the game. I love it.
Exact proportions. Is the
Our marketing guy is going to be happy. But yeah, so tell me a little bit now. We're sort of exploring the world here.
Yeah, so Twine has just got her Dreamstone. That's her in the.
That's you moving.
And you can see it kind of it matches your movement, but her first steps into controlling these golems, she actually figures out she can control a doll. So you're maybe 6 inches tall and you're walking around in your room, and objects that would be no obstacle to a 14-year-old all of a sudden become huge mountains to climb.
That's cool. Now tell me where you landed on the controls here, because I remember playing a sequence similar to this a couple years ago on an earlier build of the game, and it involved sort of leaning forward a little bit with the PlayStation VR headset on. So tell me where you landed.
Yeah, sure. So we appreciate that VR lets you feel like you're in another place, and a lot of games do a really good job of setting that up, and then you're moving your thumbs. Right? or you're...
Not that there's anything wrong.
Thumbs are great. Look, they're indispensable digits. We can all agree with that.
And so as soon as you get into that mode, you
Yeah.
just kind of sit back and you're not moving your head around, and
Yeah.
you don't really feel like you're there anymore.
Uh-huh.
And so we spent a lot of time looking into how people move, right? And if you are standing up and you want to take a step forward, the first thing you do is actually you lean your head forward slightly. So in the game, you pull the trigger to let the game know you're ready to move. You move forward slightly, and your character starts smoothly walking.
Cool, yeah.
And it's very intuitive. So we had the demo on the floor. Yeah, so dolls are
You
also
have a bug
susceptible
phobia. You
to,
might not
bug
like
attacks.
that.
Interesting.
We have the demo on the floor, and
Oh, it's playable here at PlayStation
it is,
Experience.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Awesome.
We've got 2 stations running, and
People played it all day. They seem to really enjoy it.
That's great. That's
And
great.
one thing I'm going to jump in here is
Please.
pulling the trigger
Yeah.
move. That was something I didn't really tell Jamie that I needed it, but like I always enjoyed being able to lean to move, but then every once in a while I just wanted to not move anymore and just look around and
Yep.
just sort of get my bearings again. So he says, all right, I'll let you just have a trigger to pull, and you don't lean to move until you pull the trigger. So you can just decide, I'm just going to stand here and look around. And then when you pull the trigger, it's time to start leaning and moving.
And everybody liked it so much, we just made it the default.
That's great. And I love, Jamie, I love you because you have just such an experienced hand with mechanics, you know.
Yeah.
You're Mr. 30 Seconds of Fun. You've worked on some classic games. And I got to break away from that, though, and remark on what we're seeing here because this is like a great look at Golem. So tell me what we're seeing.
Yeah, so this is much later in the game. This is after you get your big fella Golem. You start exploring this very large city. It's kind of an open world city, so there's lots of different directions to go, lots of nooks and crannies to explore. But you run into these guys, the Silent Watch, these enemy golems that are going to try to stop you from what you're doing. So this is actually the training. So you see the kind of blue crystal sword that shows up. That's indicating to you like where you need to put your hands to block. We found a lot of people when they first started, they're playing it like a regular couch game, right? And they're just kind of going like this. And if you want to block a sword that's coming in, you have to get your hand way up here.
Above your skull.
Yeah,
otherwise,
so we really, you know, we had to try a lot of things to get people to play the game as if it was real.
Yeah, and what I love about it is that for the first time in a game, any game I've played, the sword control is absolutely one-to-one.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You're not pushing button combos.
Yeah.
You get cool swirly things.
That's fun
actually,
too,
like, I have to put my sword above my head to protect myself. And you almost feel the impact of it hitting you. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, Jamie. I mean, you just have this background with mechanics, and that's why I've been so eager to see this game because I know that you've had such a huge mark on the FPS genre. You were involved with Infamous Second Son. You've been involved with a lot of great games over the years.
Thank you.
So tell me what you've been learning about VR as you make Golem.
Oh boy, I mean
that's a big topic.
How long we got
got
here?
30 seconds.
I mean, I think the biggest thing that we learned is that you have to simplify and you have to strip down and you have to have kind of a very core, clear experience. Like I've worked on games where there's an entire city and the world is at risk and everything is exploding, and in VR that's just kind of overwhelming and doesn't work.
It's like noise almost.
We had a whole galaxy at one point.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, Marty and I have threatened the galaxy so often that we decided for Golem we're going to bring it down. You know, it's going to be a small family. It's going to be one main character. Like there are stakes, but it's not. The world is going to end. And in VR, that just works so well because you're making eye contact with your father.
By the way, this is no longer the tutorial. So
Yeah.
This guy, he doesn't tell you where to put the sword
Oh,
anymore.
boy.
You gotta like work.
And you guys have a really small team working on this, right?
Yeah.
Is about a dozen guys.
Wow.
Yeah, up in Seattle.
Depending on the week.
Now tell me, Marty. I mean, you're obviously known for just incredible, you know, musical talent,
Thank you.
composition. Your reputation precedes you here. Tell me a little bit about how you're coming at the soundtrack here for Golem.
Well, it was really fun. I mean, Jamie got a hold of me right away after I found myself free again, and said, "Hey, let's do something that's just, you know, a small team and it has a intimate feel to it. And why don't you go ahead and do a prequel soundtrack to this?" And I'm like, "Okay, that sounds great."
Awesome.
So we did a Kickstarter, and the music is really based on this whole philosophy of a more intimate story, a more personal story. So I was able to sort of pare things down. It's not a bunch of bombastic brass and drums. It's a sort of chamber orchestra with harp and piano and woodwinds. It's really a lot of fun for me to write that way. And then the other fun thing is, now that we only have such a small team,